guest to discuss in more detail. Ambassador Ido Aharoni is a former Israel consul general in New York.
Well, Ambassador, I want to start with this. President Trump also previously mentioned that he knows where the supreme leader is hiding and that patience is wearing thin. Your thoughts on everything that is unfolding right now?
Well, I think that we have three elements. All of them are connected. Bringing down the regime, ending the nuclear program, crippling the conventional capabilities of the Iranians. All three of them are connected because if the United States decides, which most Israelis hope they do, to intervene militarily with their special munition to help us put an end to the nuclear program, it changes the equation completely. It could affect the fate of the regime. It could also affect what Iran will do with conventional weapons. Right now, we are at a very unique moment where Iran is interested in dragging Israel into a war of attrition mode. They decrease the number of missiles fired every day, where Israel has the interest of maintaining the high intensity of the battle, and of course also getting the United States intervening as well with airstrikes. So no one is talking about boots on the ground, just to be clear. Right. We're talking about airstrikes using special munition. That could be the game changer.
And of course, Israel's strikes are targeted, they're strategic, they're going after Iran's nuclear facilities, and Iran's strikes are just reckless and are becoming more and more so as they become desperate in order to really lash out at Israel and, of course, potentially the United States as well. I mean, what do you make of Iran's nuclear capabilities at this moment, if you could assess that for us?
So from what I'm told, we haven't really been able to completely decimate their nuclear infrastructure. The most important thing to know is that the ability to produce nuclear weapons or any kind of nuclear energy begins and ends with the knowledge. The knowledge they have, the knowledge we cannot destroy, it's in people's minds. What we can do is sanction their motivation to inflict harm on Israel, on the United States, on Western civilization. And that's the whole purpose of using force, to sanction their motivation to inflict harm. Remember, Iran is the only member of the United Nations openly calling for the destruction and the annihilation of another member, Israel. It's the only country in the world that is officially and openly denying the Holocaust. It's the only country in the world that is a state-sponsored terrorist. They support terrorist groups all over the world, not just in the Middle East. So that's what I mean when I say they must be punished for their motivations.
So true. And Ambassador, I just want to pick up on something you said a moment ago with regard to Iran. It wants to destroy all of Israel and its people. However, when you look at Benjamin Netanyahu, Donald Trump, the leaders of those two particular countries, the U.S. as well as Israel, their mission is very laser focused, protect civilian life, but destroy threats, as in nuclear capabilities, as well as Iran's leadership. So there is a clear distinction, clear demarcation in terms of focus and agenda here. And America, as well as Benjamin Netanyahu, is winning on behalf of Israel. However, Israel needs bunker-busting munitions. Why? Because, in particular, Fordo has underground bunkers where they're enriching uranium and doing other things, getting or inching ever so closely to a nuclear warhead. Your thoughts on that?
Yes, so I couldn't agree more with your analysis. There's a difference between a culture that is centered around the concept of life. You know how we toast, we say l'chaim, which means to life, and sometimes we say l'chaim l'chaim, to life twice. It's all about the celebration of life. And then you have cultures like Hamas, like the Revolutionary Guard, like the Ayatollah regime in Iran, that it's all about the past. It's all about the celebration, if you may, of death. And so this is, and I think President Trump did something great for the Iranian people by urging them to leave major urban centers. And you could see the miles and miles and miles of traffic, people trying to get out of Tehran, trying to drive up to northern Iran, to the Caspian Sea, where they can find refuge from the attacks. But you're absolutely correct. Israel is attacking surgically. Israel is trying to attack targets that are relevant and related to the deadly and toxic operation of this regime. And our issue has never been with the Iranian people. In fact, Israeli spokespersons, the official spokespersons, consistently send out messages to the Iranian people in Farsi, in their own language, telling them, our issue is not with you. Our issue is with your corrupt, toxic, deadly leadership that is weaponizing Islam for all the wrong reasons.
Do you believe the end to the war will result in regime change, and should it result in regime change?
Well, the jury is still out on this very important question. You know that there's something that is called the theory of unintended consequence. Sometimes when you inflict harm and you hurt national pride, the opposite can happen. Even people that oppose the regime can actually galvanize around the regime because they feel that they were humiliated, their national pride was humiliated, and so on. So once you enter that mass psychology, the realm of mass psychology, strange things can happen. And we can find our actions actually not only that will not bring down the regime, will actually make them stronger. So we have to be very, very careful not to be arrogant. And I say this mostly to Israeli decision makers that have a tendency to be a little bit too arrogant, and to show what we can do with deeds, with actual deeds on the ground, less words, more actions. That's what will work.
So true. Talk is cheap. And we've seen great leadership in action on behalf of the Israeli interest and people through Benjamin Netanyahu as well as President Donald Trump. Ambassador Ido Aharoni, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah.